What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Alex here from Team Generations, and today we're here to discuss one of the spiciest decks coming out of Set 5. We are talking about Tamayura. So if you've been following current meta trends, things like that, you've probably seen this deck pop up, and it is one of the better decks out of Set 5 in general, but there has recently been like a variation on this deck that I've tried out. I actually absolutely love. I think it definitely is the superior kind of build, and I'm going to bring it to you today. This is the Maidens build, so it's going to be a little bit different than your typical Tamayura list. I would say give it a shot before you knock it. It definitely is a little bit different playstyle. It just doesn't lend itself to being as typical as some of the other builds you're going to see for this deck, but overall I really like it, and I'm super excited to bring it to you guys today. So without further ado, let's hop into a deck profile, and then I'll get into a test stand at the end. Alright, and really quickly before I begin, I just wanted to quickly mention that if you are interested in purchasing any of the cards you see here today, we do have a TCG Player affiliate link down in the description below. You can shop to that link, absolutely no cost to you. Help support the channel, and I definitely appreciate it. Thank you also for all the subs. We are at 1,200 subs now. Cannot believe it. Thank you so much. If you are enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like on the video and possibly consider subscribing to the channel. Much appreciation, and thank you in advance. And then lastly, if you have a Twitter, follow us there too now. So we post locals like results, new videos, alerts, things like that, and you can just interact with us a little bit more freely on Twitter. So yeah, thank you so much, and let's get started. All right, kicking us off with the ride line over here. So we are going to be looking at the grade 0. I think this actually has to be the it actually has to be this card over here when you're running this deck, just because of the grade 1 skill over here. And I'm not done SPing the ride line yet, so don't crucify me for that. But this girl over here in the Calm Sunlight, Tamayura, so her skill auto when this unit is placed by riding from Nine-Tailed Fox Spirit Tamayura, so the first starter. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 card with Rimuri or Ramari or whatever in its card name, or a fox art card from among them, reveal it and put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. So top 7 search in this game is actually really big. Not like a ton of decks have it, some decks here and there, but overall very solid and also very free. Next up over here to another card that kind of is almost free, lets you kind of discard from hand for free. So this card is Festival of Burning Tamayura. So when this card when this unit is placed by riding on the in the Calm Sunlight Tamayura, choose up to 1 card with Rimuri or Ramari in its card name from your drop zone and put it into your hand. So you basically discard one of those and just get it right back. Just a nice little recursion, kind of like Bob Sagra, things of that nature. And then lastly, the main boss unit, we are going to be talking about Tamayura over here. So Deepening Night Tamayura. So her skill auto on Vanguard Circle at the beginning of our ride phase. All of your units, all your front row units, get an additional 5k until the end of turn. Now that is only at the beginning of the ride phase, so it's not your first ride when you go into it in grade 3. It's, you know, your second and onwards. So even if you don't persona ride, you at least still have that 5k buff, which is actually pretty big in culmination with some of the other stuff we have going on in this deck. Secondly, auto on Vanguard Circle. When this attacks, counterblast 1, perform one of the following: choose a card from your soul, call it to rearguard, so just 1 attack, or if you choose one with Rimuri or Ramari, just basically call out the counter of it. So could be really big overall. You're basically getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attacks in the deck, and we're just aiming in this deck to make those 5 attacks as meaningful as possible with some of our choices that we were putting in the deck. So let's hop into the main deck and then that test end. Kicking us off over here with the boss unit herself, we are looking at 3 more copies of Tamayura. So still really solid. Again, persona riding in this deck is huge. You definitely want to make those sweet numbers. Not only you're getting a 5k, but you're getting a 10k from the persona ride, making it even bigger. And then our maidens are also buffing 10k. I'll show you how to do that a little bit later, but overall a 25k field buff on a persona ride is huge. Just the multi-attack kind of potential with that. It feels like set 3 Bruce kind of when he was just like running the meta. Feels really good overall, so nothing really too crazy there. It does have that glitter ability, so pairs up with the glitter cards we're going to go over in just a moment over here. So let's get started. We are going to be first talking about, this is Twin Direful Dolls Rarami, I think Rarami, something like that. I don't know, I keep on saying it wrong, so I'm sorry. But over here, auto when this unit is placed on rearguard. If you have a rearguard with the Rimuri in its card name, this is going to be Soul Blast 2 and then draw a card. And it also has the glitter effect when it is retired from Guardian Circle. If you have a Tamayura Vanguard over here, this guy gets to be put into your soul. So really nice overall to be able to guard with this a little bit earlier into the game and just make it that, you know, this goes right into soul, sets you up for later. I think that's honestly when you're playing is the most important thing, making sure that these as well as her pair on the next card we're going to discuss are just in the soul and ready for your 5 attack, because we ideally in this build want to do that every single turn, even on your first grade 3 turn. Like, you're not always going to be able to go off with it, but when you do, it feels really good. So just having these in soul, bulking out a little bit earlier, not really taking early damage is super nice. So this feels aggressive while still being like almost a defensive focused deck. And then her pair over here is Twin Direful Dolls Rurimi, something like that. Over here, there we are. Auto when this unit is placed on rearguard circle. If you have a rearguard with Rarami in your card name, Soul Blast 2, choose one of your opponent's rearguards, and your opponent puts that card into their soul. It also has that glitter ability that when it's retired from Guardian Circle, you may put this card into your soul. Again, just bulk out a little bit earlier. Being able to guard is really, really nice in a game that doesn't have like super like defensive kind of capabilities yet in Overdress. It feels good to be able to just, you know, pop 1, 2, 3, guard these small pokes early, and like be an aggressive deck set up for later while still being defensive early. So I do definitely like that. And just be aware that this is putting stuff into a soul. So in the mirror match, you know, you soul blast 2, put it into soul, boom, you're gonna just be helping them really with their grade 2. So just be cognizant of that. I really do like the soul blast 2 draw one. I think that it kind of helps us a little bit more. Over here, just keeping it in theme, I'm actually only running 3 of these, and I know a lot of people in the Maiden build kind of actually got rid of these altogether, but I still think there's room for it. I still think that this is kind of part of the strategy inherently, and kind of helps you commit a little bit later to certain cards that you're going to have to call to field, which you might not want to. So this is going to be Fleeting Shine that lights life. Just I guess a weird name. It seems a little weird the angle of the SP, so I can't really read it too good. But play this card with Soul Blast 2, and then if you have Vanguard with Tamayura in its card name, you choose one of the Vanguards in continuous. All of your front row opponents' Vanguards, all of your front row units get minus 10k until the end of turn. So really just doing a Shiryuki in the form of a Blitz Order over here, so again, only can be used defensively. This is really good because, I mean, it just takes away like their initial turn. It takes away a little bit more pressure. You know, if they're Persona riding, think they're getting away with it, boom, you just kind of level set and get back, and you know, you can again bulk out with those grade 2s, just going back into your soul. It feels good. I still think at 3 of we see it often enough. You can pretty much get off like 1 per game, I would say, with the soul requirements in this deck, maybe 2 at most. So you don't really need 4 in my opinion. Plus we're searching top 7 potentially for it, so I think this card is good. I think there still is room for it even in the Maidens build, and I'll show you why in just a moment. But over here, I know I keep on talking about it, but this is the promo card over here. This came out with oh god, what was her name, the Dimension not Dimension Police, oh my gosh, the Seraph promo, and the Stoichio one, I honestly, and Pix, and I forgot the other one's name, but this is Blaze Maiden Eba. Act on rearguard circle once per turn, counterblast 1, rest 3 different cards with Blaze Maiden in their different card names, draw a card, and then one of your opponent's Vanguard, one of your Vanguards get continuous. All your front row units gets 10k until the end of turn. So that, again, that's just like another permanent plus 10, and in a multi-attack deck where on grade 3 you're going live with at least 5 attacks, you know, potentially 5 attacks, like this just makes it so much harder. Like 10k, think about that, you know, you have to guard a whole lot more to kind of get around a lot of that. And again, you know, your opponent can hit triggers and kind of get over this, but in culmination, this plus a Persona ride is just so big, and you're not retiring these rear guards either. So it's like, you know, once you set up your field with this, you're kind of good for the rest of the game unless they start picking it off, you know. But who's really playing Eugene? And, you know, maybe I guess Leonard gets around it, but I feel like this stays on the board a very solid amount, and once you set this up, you're good for the rest of the game. It's just 1 CB, which you can definitely afford in this deck. Nothing but the Vanguard really uses CB, so I definitely like this. I think this actually does fit and just gives you like a whole nother layer of gameplay. You can go into a more standard Tamayura kind of gameplay in this deck and still be like fine, you know, poke at them 1, 2, 3, but this really just puts the icing on the cake and really makes all of your attacks way more impactful. So to kind of support her and get her kind of going with those different names, we do have a bunch of different maidens in this deck. So next up over here, I'm going to be running 2 of her, Blaze Maiden Tanya. She's actually really interesting. I do run her in premium Nubatama, and because of that, I kind of thought of a couple different like strategies you can use with her. Auto, when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, counterblast 1, choose a grade 0 from your drop and call it to rearguard circle. And then its second skill, auto, when this unit attacks, soul blast 1, choose one of your grade 0 units, and it gets an additional 5k until the end of turn. So if you wanted to, sometimes, you know, if I have, you know, a grade 1 called down to 1 column, let's pretend this is my Vanguard. I have my grade 1 kind of called out over here. This is, you know, the grade 2 Vanguard. I would call her down from hand, like over here. I would call the grade 0 out. I would make it boost the grade 1, so now you're eligible to actually hit for just a counterblast. And then if you wanted to, when it swings, you could soul blast if you think you have spare. If you don't have the order in your hand, you think you're okay for later in the game, you could soul blast 1, give that an additional 5k. You know, swing here, they guard it 5k. Swing with your Vanguard, it pushes in for 10. You know, they let it hit. Boom, you hit a trigger. Put it on your 8k rear guard right here. Boost it with the trigger. Give it another 5k, so that becomes 18 plus. That's like a 31k column. That is just pretty impactful early on, kind of sets the tone. And really, if you can successfully go into your Blaze Maiden turn, even on your first grade 3 ride, If you can go into this first and just go off, and they're already at 3-4 damage, it's like a very tough hill for them to climb back from. So they have to heal out, and they have to kind of somehow reestablish some tempo on us. And this card really helps us set the tempo in general. So I do like this card. I think at 2 of you see it enough. Again, you just really need the Blaze Maiden name. You're not always going to go into that play that I described, but that is an option over here. You know, in reality, you don't even have to use either of the skills, and it could just be a body on board. No big deal. But again, a 10k body does help us out over here in just swings. And then lastly, for the grade 2s, I still think we do need to support some of the Tamayura stuff, and I really do want to put this in at like one more. I was thinking of swapping a card later, I'll show you, but I think that at 1 of, it's okay. This basically just is, well, first off, this is mode of stealth rogue, Sumugi, something like that. Auto, when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, Soul Blast 1, choose a card with stealth in its name, and then or glitter, I'm sorry, from your drop zone, and put it into your soul. So you essentially just get back your grade 2s, the Rarami and the Rurimi, whatever, and essentially just fix yourself for the ride chain. I think at 1 of, like, it's a little scarce. I do wish I had more room for like maybe 1 more. I've seen some builds, I think of like this version runs some more of him, but I think 2 of would be fine. 1 of also works, like it's the bare minimum. I think you have to have at least 1 of them in the deck, but I'll show you what you can swap for it later on. I just need to playtest a little bit more and just decide where I'm going to stand with him, but as of right now, I'm running him at a 1 of. Next up over here too, we have 4 of the PGs getting into the grade 1s. Nothing really to say here. 4 PGs, you just need PGs. It's the name of the game. It's how the game goes. I don't know what else to really say. Twin Buckler one is definitely a little bit better than the standard trial deck one. Next up over here to another support card that is so cracked. This is so good. Honestly, the top 7 searching in this deck is like insane. This is Stealth Fiend Forktail. So auto, when this unit is placed on rearguard, you may put look at the top 7 cards of your deck. If you do, choose up to 1 normal unit with stealth in its card name or glitter from among them, put it into your soul, and then shuffle your deck. So early game, this really helps out. Apply a little bit of pressure. You can maybe do that Tanya play, maybe pop down like a trigger behind her, hit the 13k to hit later on, and that's not a bad deal at all, because our I'm gonna go over that actually during the trigger portion, but just keep that in mind. You could do that actually. And then lastly too, you can search herself off the top 7, put it into soul, and then with Tamayura, you can call it out, and it doesn't say it has to be placed from hand or anything. So when you place out, let's say you don't have maybe both the Direful Dolls in soul, you can basically soul, do this again, have a chance to hit another top 7, and maybe fix your soul for next turn. So I really do like this card. I think that it is a definite include. There's no question about it at a 4 of in my mind. Next up over here, I'm running 1 of her, Blaze Maiden Reno. So Reno is pretty cool. We're not doing any of the ride line skills, but it does have that Blaze Maiden name that we need for the grade 2. Blaze Maiden, that kind of gives us that 10k, so it helps in that regard. And also, if you are rushing down early and call her down, during the battle this unit attack, this gets an extra 2k, so it at least threatens a hit on a grade 2 Vanguard, which is pretty cool. I think that this really helps us establish some tempo, helps us become like a defensive rush deck, as weird as that sounds, and I think that this is a good card overall. If you wanted to, you can maybe cut her for another of the grade 2 Stealth Fiend guy that recycles your Rimuri Ramari kind of cards, so that is an option as well. But that is the main deck itself. That is all the maidens and such. And let's get into the trigger lineup. And this is actually important. Watch this part because I'm going to say a couple things. So let's get into that. All right, hopping into the trigger lineup. Again, very important section, actually. We are going to be, of course, running one of the over triggers. There's no doubt about it. The nice thing with this, too, I know some people, I actually watched somebody at locals not do this. I guess they didn't know. When you're swinging with Tamayura, its Counterblast 1 ability is not once per turn. So you can swing, pop 2 out, hit the over, stand up again, boom, do it all again. So you can swing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. So that with the maiden kind of buff is just so broken if you get it off. So good luck to you. Hope you do, especially if you're watching this video. Next up over here, we need maidens, and as a result, we are going to be running a full maiden kind of trigger lineup over here. 4 of Blaze Maiden Zohi. How do you say this one? Zane? I think that's how to say it. 4 of her, 3 of the front triggers, and then 4 of the heel triggers, all with the maiden name in them. Now, sometimes you're going to have to call these down to satisfy the 3 different maiden names. It's just the way it is. You really can't get around it. Sometimes that happens, and this deck is actually decent because you still have the defensive order. So even though you sacrifice some shield from hand, you have that defensive order that still Soul Blast 2 and subtracts 10k from your opponent's field. So it's not terrible. Like I really don't think it's that big of a deal to call down at least 1 trigger, maybe, at worst 2. Sometimes you're going to be in some like weird situations, but overall, I think you just need to do that. And then I do want 4 draw in this deck. I think that drawing into our key pieces, seeing what we need just for our engine, making sure that it's live is so essential. And yeah, this in culmination with like the 5k guards from the grade 2s, like that makes a 15k shield most of the time when you're defending on grade 3. So I really do like the draws in this deck. You can play with this a little bit. You can choose to up, you know, maybe some more crit, maybe one more front, whatever you want. But overall, I do personally like the draws. But let's get into a test hand. I'll show you guys how the deck kind of works in action. All right, let's shuffle up over here and get started. Overall, I think this is like a really solid deck, kind of floating around that like tier 1 category. I don't know if it's quite in there, but I think it's a little bit better than like 1.5. It's definitely not rogue. I don't know. I think it's a really solid deck overall. I think it has like 2 different lines of play and like actually a little bit versatile. So I really do actually like it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Well, I'll tell you this much. Well, we're definitely putting this back over here. I think I'm going to keep the rest. We'll see if we can get a Blaze Maiden, one of the ones that we actually want in our hand, the ones to rest. But I'm going to draw 1 more over here. All right, not the end of the world. We do get the 2 twins, which is actually pretty dang good. So with that grade 2 in our hand, we could actually kind of recur some of our discard over here. So we're going to stand up our Vanguard, stand and draw. To get another Blaze Maiden, but not the one exactly that we need. So I am actually going to discard this one, and I'm going to ride up. I'll show you why in just a second. I'm going to search the top 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so I'm going to add, who am I going to add? I'm going to put that immediately into my soul. Okay, so I'm going to add this one into my soul. So I had choices there, which is pretty good. Oh, I'm sorry, that goes to my hand. Yeah, I'm going to add that to my hand. You know what, in that case, actually, from hand, I forgot. I'm sorry, I'm so used to the grade 1 over here. If that's the case, I'm actually, you guys saw that I had this one available. I'm going to put this one into my hand because that's the one I discarded. That's fine. Okay. I'm going to pass it over to my opponent. I'm going to take a damage for their turn. Oh, of course, the Blaze Maiden we need. Let's go and stand and draw now for our turn. We are going to discard the same thing. Ride up, put that back to hand. That's fine. I'm going to call this down. I'm going to Soul Blast 1. I'm actually going to get, this will be my zone over here. I'm going to get this and put it back into my soul. Anything else I want to do? I'm actually going to call this down to aggress a little bit earlier. I don't think there's any crazy thing going on there. What do I have in my soul? I have one of her. All right, perfect. I'm going to swing. This is 10k. I'm going to swing. This is 10k. Drive check, nothing. But I do get the persona. This is 10k. Pass it over to my opponent. Take 1 more damage for their turn. Let's say they hit a crit or something, maybe 1 more. Oh, okay. Now we're going to stand and draw. Oh, we do get the Blaze Maiden. Look at that. That was good luck right there. We are going to... Oh, I'm also going to say I guarded, something or whatever last turn just to get her into the soul. There we go. Don't forget that in your guarding patterns like me. Next up over here, what are we going to discard? I think I'm going to discard... I have 1, 2. I already have 2 of her. Unfortunate, but I'm going to discard 1 of her. And then I'm going to get up onto her. That is good. I'm going to move this back. I'm going to call and call. I am going to also call her down. Do I want to do that? Yeah, I'm gonna call her down, I think. Yeah, let's do it. So we're gonna counterblast 1, resting 1, 2, 3, and then boom. That is going to be an extra 10k to my front row. I'm going to swing here. Nah, I'm gonna keep this one. I'm just gonna go a little bit low key. I'm gonna go 20k then, 23k then. I'm gonna use skill counterblast 1. There we are. And I'm just doing my first turn, gonna pop 1 out. I don't have to pop both of them out if I really don't want to. I'm gonna do that. Get rid of him. This is going to be 23 at my opponent's Vanguard. First check, second check, no triggers, kind of unfortunate. But we are going to swing over here, 20k. This is 20k again. So again, just a little bit aggressive, and we don't have the most defensive cards in our hand, period. So this could actually be pretty bad overall, but it's not a typical situation. But let's pass it over to our opponent. Let's make it a 1 to pass. Say they don't pass. These both go into soul. We are next up going to take it. 1 check. Oh, no trigger. Let's do 1 more. There we go. Okay. So now we have to guard. The last attack we're going to guard. That's fine. Okay. We are then going to stand and draw, and let's see if we can make this a viable turn. So we are going to Persona Ride, and we're going to draw over here. Very unfortunate, but let's go here and here. Let's just call those 2, and let's just make the most of this as we can. We are going to counterblast 1. we are now going to, this is plus 25k to the front row, by the way. We are going to counterblast 1, rest 1, 2, 3, and then that 25k is live. This is going to be 35k, this is going to be 38k, this is going to be swing, counterblast 1, we're going to pop 1 and 2, we're going to get these out of soul, Reamery, Ramery, there we are, there we are. I'm also going to soul blast 2 and draw a card, because we're kind of a little bit lacking. Draw a card over here. Okay, we are then going to be 38k at my opponent's Vanguard. First check, power, do heal. That's actually, it doesn't really matter actually. First check, heal. Second check, nothing. Okay, and then over here, let's put the power, you know, say they PG that over here. It's going to be 45k, it's going to be 35k. And you can just see, like, these turns are decently impactful. You didn't have to commit to this like your first grade 3 ride. You can just, you know, do like a very vanilla kind of turn, kind of conserve your hand if you wanted to, if you felt that was the right play. But overall, we put pressure on early. We did these turns, you know, 35k columns swinging are like absolutely big. We didn't really get super sacky with our triggers, but if we did, I think that the opponent would be in a very bad spot overall. And yeah, I really do like this deck. I've used this. I think I went 4-1 last night with this, so really not too bad at all. I really do enjoy this deck. I've play tested this quite a bit. I do like it more than the other builds. So thank you guys so much. If you have any questions, let me know down below. Let me know your version of the build. Definitely interested to know. Thank you again. This is Alex from Team Generations signing out.